I think we're live.
Yes, hello. We're back at the Best Self Hub. My name is Julia Evans, and I'm excited that I'll be interviewing Jenna Baik today. Welcome to the Best Self Hub. And Jenna Baik is not only an incredible entrepreneur, a visionary, and has created, in my mind, like a revolutionary product that's going to really support people in transforming their health and the way they eat. She's also a good friend of mine. And I'm grateful that you're here. Jenna, why don't you tell us a little bit more just about your product, which is MyBebox, and how that came to be, just the whole concept and idea of your product.
Sure. So MyBebox is an all-in-one meal prep container to customize your portion control. It also has unique other features. It can stack up to 3 to 4 containers. It collapses. And it also has measurements on the bottom, so it can hold up to 4 cups. I created the product, I think a few years ago, just kind of when I first started getting into meal prep, and it was more of a fun, I guess, tool that I just like thought of, to create. And yeah, from there, I was able to make it a reality in creating this fun meal prep container to carry my food in, transport my food in, and as well as use it as a really good tool to portion control my meals.
So, and I've actually had the opportunity to like see the final product and look at it. Now, I think something that a lot of people would be interested in, especially like knowing kind of our community has a lot of entrepreneurs. What I'd like to know and go a little deeper on would be, a lot of people have ideas. I'm sure at any given time, someone's had like a great idea. And I would say the majority of people don't usually act on their idea, be it like maybe they're not confident enough, or they're like, oh, no one's going to like it or buy it. I mean, like, what has really set you apart from those people of like actually taking your idea and seeing it all the way through? Would you say that is?
Yeah, good question. I think the one word answer I could give to that is to just do it. A lot of people end up thinking, and then they start getting all into this fear state of mind. Oh, well, what if this happens and that happens, and all these things. And I think that's what causes a lot of blockage from people to actually, move forward or go through with creating their idea. Even me thinking about it now, if I, like 2 to 3 years ago, if I was to think through all the time and money it would have took to create this idea, I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest.
Really?
I think the biggest thing when you're just starting something is, make sure it is something that you are passionate about, because you're going to be working for free and you're going to be working hard the first few months, few years, for quite a bit of time. So yeah, make sure it is something that you are passionate about. And once you have that, then just do it. I always say, do more than you think. And then once your business is going, then you have to think a little more than you do.
Got it. So it's like obviously thinking, not only is this a good idea or a great idea, but like, okay, am I passionate enough about this topic to see it all the way through? And then I can't help but think of a Nike ad when you say, just do it, like just jump in and take action. And just because I know you, I think that probably that was instilled from your family. Like part of that was like, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, like maybe your father kind of taught you a little bit about following through and just doing it, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Since I was a kid, he instilled 2 things in me, which was to just do it, and that nothing is impossible. So that's definitely been a big driving force of why I am where I am today.
Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur. And for people, watching the live now or like after that are new entrepreneurs, what kind of advice would you give a new entrepreneur as far as, words of wisdom or something that kind of surprised you on your path the last couple of years?
Words of advice. Let me think. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. Just do it. That's literally the one and best advice I can give to anyone with an idea or anything that they want to do with their life, whether it's, even a health goal. Let's say people ask, oh, well, how do you get healthy? How do you get into meal prepping? You just have to do it. You just have to get up, go to your kitchen, and just start doing things. You're going to make tons of mistakes, but, the act of doing it, that's what's going to take that step forward rather than just being stuck in the same spot of thinking about doing it.
Yeah, I totally get that piece. And I think for me, I know like surrounding yourself too with like-minded people. I mean, say for example, if like Jenna's an individual that's achieving something that you want to achieve, then like reaching out to that person too, or like having mentors.
Yeah, of course. Once you do it, there's lots of other actions to follow up with. Then reach out to mentors. You get, market research if it's a product or service that you're wanting to launch, So yeah, but the first thing is to do it.
Just get it done. Well, I appreciate your insight on that. And it's valuable coming from someone like yourself and, diving into how can people like save money and time through meal prep. And I mean, the money thing is pretty clear. How for me, but I mean, for the audience, it might not be. Can we touch on some of those topics? Like why, someone that maybe is eating most of their food at the office or like going out for lunch with colleagues, like how can that really transform their life by meal prepping?
Sure. So meal prepping, for those that might not know what meal prepping is, by the way, so meal prepping is pretty much prepping a bunch of meals ahead of time. So you have all these meals for the week or maybe even a few days. So some of you might be doing it and you don't even realize it, but when you take home leftovers, having your lunch the next day, that's a form of meal prepping. What meal prepping has done in my life, I always say it does three things, and I'll guarantee you if you get started with meal prepping, it'll save you your time, your money, and your health. So I guess I'll kind of touch on each three, starting with saving money, because who doesn't like to save money? I guess think about, all the money. If you were to add up all the money you spend going out to eat, whether it's lunch or dinner, I know in Los Angeles alone, just lunch is $15 average, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, $15 average, dinner being more around the $20 range. Let's during your work days, that's, let's average lunch and dinner. That's around $150 to $200 a week, I'd say you're spending just on eating out. When you go and buy groceries, especially if you buy groceries, this kind of helps with the time part, tailored to what recipes and knowing exactly what to make. My grocery list has typically always been under $100, and that I've been able to create around, depending what the meal is, 15 to 25 meals out of that.
And sorry, say that price again, like how much were you spending?
Yeah, so I spend under $100 a week.
Okay.
On groceries.
Doing the math here.
Yeah, so and I'm able to
per week.
Yeah, and I'm able to make around 15 to 20 meals a week out of that. Sometimes even 25, depending on the meals that I'm making is. A great example is when I actually tested it out. So 1 month, I was doing really good meal prepping, barely ate out, maybe was eating out 1 to at the very most 3 times a week. And in that whole month, I spent $200 on eating out. And this included like little things like coffee, if I got a snack, and maybe a few lunch or dinners with friends. During that whole month, it was $200. My grocery bill, I think, was around $400. Now, next month, barely meal prepped, was pretty much eating out every day, and my and my spending's like skyrocketed to $1,000 a month. So
Wow, that's when you started
wonderful.
eating out. Yeah,
Yeah.
100.
So there you go in the saving money part. And then with time, I think this is where people kind of get confused and like, oh, they don't have the time to meal prep. That's the excuse that I hear a lot is, oh, I don't have the
I think that's a great excuse. Oh, and Jenna, I'm just going to tell you, I'm hearing out. No, I think that people might hear it too. When you're moving, the mic is muffled. So if you can
I'm
just
sorry.
like, yeah, no, it's okay. Just keep it like, so you're not touching it when you're talking. And I think I'll be able to like hear you a little better.
Cool. Yeah, so in regards to saving time, if you spare out, I would say, depending on your cooking skill levels, which is something that's also going to improve as you meal prep more, 2 to, at the most, I would say 5 hours a week. You're spending or you're saving an average of an extra, I would say 10 to 15 hours for the rest of the week. Now, think about the time, let's say you're at your office, it takes to like step out, drive there maybe, go purchase it, sit down and eat there. Not to say that you can't sit down and to eat and enjoy your foods, but just that time of like the transit time of getting to wherever you need to, and then thinking about what you're going to eat, and then kind of along with the health, what is it that you're going to eat? If you don't have that time during lunchtime, what do you resort go to fast foods, right?
True. Yeah, I think about that often. And I mean, I can even share, Jenna, from I had one client I worked with, coaching client, and she had 3 kids, and her husband were really busy, and they wouldn't plan their meals. They would order pizza a couple times a week. And then I was like, okay, you and your husband are going to meal prep on Sundays. So it was something that actually brought the family together. And on average, in the first week, they said it saved them 7 hours.
Yep.
So I'm really just echoing the same concept, that it may feel like initially, it's a lot of work, but you're then the one dictating too, like what food you're eating, what's going into the food, and taking out some of those hidden preservatives and things that you would get otherwise, and saving a lot of time. And like Jenna said, money, like I love that I used a calculator for this very basic math, but on average, if you're Jenna, and spending $100 a week, you're going to be spending, and you're making approximately 20 meals, depending on what your shopping or grocery list is. That's like $5 a meal. So that's a huge difference. And you got to think of the time, like Jenna said, then when you're like, okay, where am I? And I'm hungry. Where am I going to find food? And for me, that's like, so frustrating, because I don't like eating a lot of food that's available on the go or near a gas station where I might be driving. I'm like, I will go hungry if I have to eat something that is like deep fried or doesn't feel in alignment with like my health, like how I want to be eating. So.
Right. And I mean, I'm not a neurological expert or a hormonal expert, but yeah, just the decisions you make when you're hungry. Even me, like, generally eat good, and like, I treat myself here and there, but when I'm hungry and like there is like Oreos or whatever next to me, I'll eat it. Just because of that hunger, I guess.
Yeah, that need, like when you have your speaking of like blood sugar, like crash, you're automatically going to want like easy glucose or like sugar or something. And yeah, for sure, if you don't have a meal, you're more likely to dive into the muffins or donuts at work. And, it's all about balance. But I really love that you saw a need, in the industry to really support people with their meal prep, and like bringing it back to BeBox. Allowing people to meal prep in a way that they can also do it for portion control. So can you speak a little bit about, portion control and how that concept works in your area of expertise, like with BeBox?
Sure. So kind of echoing the importance of having a balanced meal. I think in America in general, we tend to overeat, and we might not even realize it. Even when we're going out to restaurants, the servings that we get are, I mean, depending on where you go, but I find most places they're really big. um, and I think a lot of us think that, what's served on our plate in restaurants is normal serving size when really it's not. I think what's best for our body, and you could definitely would love your thoughts on this as well, is smaller portions but eat more throughout the day. And I know this also helps with keeping your metabolism going. So yeah, what BeBox does in terms of portion control, so it has, I wish I brought it with me, sorry, I forgot it at home. Anyways, it has adjustable dividers in it, so kind of like when you're looking at a pie graph, I guess. I want people who are just getting into portion control and meal prepping to be able to have a really easy way to just visually see how they should portion their meal. So what I typically recommend is 50% of it should be your fiber, which is typically your vegetables. Around 20 to 25% of it, depending on your personal needs, which should be your complex carbs, and then 25 to 30% of it would be your proteins. And then of course don't forget the healthy fats, which is typically used when you're cooking your whether it's your protein or carbs or vegetables anyways. So that kind of gets added in there. So I think it's a perfect size to portion control your meals.
And to keep it balanced. Yeah, I love that. That's definitely a concept that I've shared with people I've worked with about having a more like healthy balance. So for people that might have in the past like been overeating, or maybe like, oh, I have to finish everything on my plate, and then sometimes the serving sizes are just so extreme. But I can sometimes, I will admit, like overeat when I go to a restaurant. If there's like food, I'm like, okay, Julia, you can get a to-go box. But I see what you're saying as well, like not bringing a big container of food to the office and actually like, okay, I'm going to like portion it out, being really successful for people. And I do believe what Jenna's saying, having just like more frequent meals instead of having like one huge one because you're starving is beneficial. And again, everyone is a little like, everyone's going to be unique in their own way and like how much they feel like they need to eat. If you're super active, you're going to eat more. If you're more sedentary, you probably don't need as many calories, right? So
So that's, I guess, one of the features of BeBox is everyone's needs are different. So you can adjust the dividers to portion control the way that you want to.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, I'm excited. I would love to, after the live today, if you could post like the link, like just so people can see what it actually like looks like, and then also be able to get in touch with you. And I know that Jen and I were discussing before the live, sharing something fun with everyone today, a fun recipe as well that we'll be giving out today, which is one of my favorites. It's actually the mason jar Cobb salad. We made it at one of Jenna's meal prep workshops, and I asked her if she would be, if she could send me the link, and so we can share it with everyone in the feed after the live today. So I'm excited about that too. And so we'll share that information. And I'm just thinking if there's any other questions. I had written a bunch before coming on the live that I think people would want to know more about. So we discussed, why you're saving money and why you're saving the time, of course. And then we didn't actually mention, though, Jenna, about the environment, because I know that's something that we covered about the benefits, right? Do you want to touch on that, or is there anything else that you would love people to know about yourself or the product?
Sure. So definitely saving the environment's another factor and benefit into meal prepping, because again, think about all the waste that you're producing when you're going out to eat. You get, a plastic container, plastic forks, all these disposable items that you just throw out right after. So BeBox is plastic. It's BPA free. However, it's reusable, and it could last you many years depending on how well you take care of it. But it's definitely another huge benefit in just producing less waste in our world in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm definitely an advocate for that and always looking for ways to, recycle. And I think it would be smart, I think, for all of us to probably even carry something like a BeBox or like a Tupperware or whatever it is like we have available to us, and carry it in the car perhaps when we do get takeout. Because yeah, you're right. Like the amount of containers and like bags and garbage is given to me sometimes if I get takeout is pretty extreme.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're doing that several times a week or maybe even daily, it does add up. It's huge. So it is nice though living in the LA area and seeing how many companies are more and more conscious of how they're packaging food, and they actually will give people like a kickback. I've noticed even like I think like a quarter or something if you bring your own container, which I think is really cool. So you can look out for places like that. But why don't you share a little bit about, I'm going to share the link on the mason jar salad that I love from your company. What you had a special giveaway that you wanted to share with people today. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure, yeah. So we are just beta testing a meal prep program. And what that looks like is every week, typically on Friday mornings, you're going to get a grocery list that's under $100. In that grocery list, you're able to create 3 recipes. And then in that grocery list, we even have some room for snacks. And it goes in the calorie range that you want to be eating at. So for me, I like to stay around the 1,500 to 1,800 range. So it's only our regular price for that is $250 a week, but I'll be giving a code out for the viewers today to get it for $150 a week. So it's just a nice little tool because I know a lot of people who want to get started with meal prepping, but they just don't know what to do because they just don't know where to start. So this is a really great guidance that's like budgeted very well. Usually you don't even end up hitting that $100 mark unless you're buying organic or, higher end the foods that you want, to just get started in meal prepping. And we're just testing out and creating an instruction list where you cook everything at once. So again, with the saving time for those who's never cooked in a kitchen, I know it could be overwhelming. And again, a big part of meal prepping is to save time. So we kind of teach you on how to be efficient with cooking these recipes all together at once. Oh,
that's great. I love that. Now, just because I want to make sure people understood the price point, when you say $150 as a special, that's $1.50.
Yeah, sorry.
Right? Okay, I was like, yeah, I knew that you were beta testing, and I'm like, that's so cool. I want people to know about it because it's a great product. But like Jenna is actually saying $1.50, which is really crazy. Like that, you can't even get a coffee really that I know of for $1.50. And so you're saying amongst that, the grocery list that they would be getting weekly is you keep it under $100 a week.
Yeah, it's usually guaranteed unless again you're buying organic or much higher end items, which is totally fine too. But then we just can't guarantee that it'll be under the $100 a week. But I'll make the code on Best Self Hub for that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's so cool. I love your recipes, and I've generally actually like refer to your website because I know you're posting more and more amazing recipes for some of my clients. And so to know that you're moving that forward, I think is really cool. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And if you can share it just like in the feed below today's interview, that would be great for everyone watching after as well. And like leave your comments because if we did have some technology issues before going live. So people wouldn't have necessarily been alerted when we went live because we created a brand new link. So for those of you watching the live after to the end here, please, just as a reminder, if you have questions or comments, leave them or else we won't know you watched the live. And I want to thank Jenna for joining us today and being awesome and producing a product that's really going to support so many people. So thank you.
Yay. Thanks, Julia.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to go ahead and end today's call. Okay, bye.
Bye.